So hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to just be going through just shape design and trying this other method that uh, is very helpful when you're trying to draw or paint. So as you can see in this sketch of Chadwick is the actor from Black Panther. I didn't use sketch lines like I normally do because in this process it's more of understanding shapes of different forms of light and shadow and trying to use those to come up with something that looks like a portrait of a person you're drawing. So as you can see, the principles are still the same. I have those different values of light, of the different values of the skin tones to help me define the shapes, the planes of the face, and to come up with something regarding the portrait that I'm drawing, right? So here, when you're drawing, when I'm using this method, I normally, you can see that I don't zoom in. For example, most especially at this stage when I'm still laying down proportions, I tend not to zoom in. I'm always zoomed out because it helps to create proper shapes, right? So a good shape is one in which you don't have to worry about, I mean, the one which truly defines your form. Like a shape is supposed to be simple, for example, all right, and it's also supposed to define what you're truly meaning when you lay it down, right? So again, this is visual communication, as I've said. So for example, if you look at the side of his head, you can see that that plane of his head is because of the shape that I've put, the values that I've put into that shape. It makes it round, right? It makes the face almost cylindrical, same to the eye section, those values that are around the eyes, right? So but when you work in this state, in this form where you're zoomed out, it helps you to understand or to make simpler designs. But when you zoom in, first of all, you'll be bogged down by the details, and you also risk creating portraits that are not proportional to each other. And the other way to know that your shapes are wrong, if you find that your image is being flattened out by the shapes you're laying down, you'd normally want to reconsider the shapes you're doing. All right, so you can see that for example, the eyes here, they were not following the shape, like the proportion. If you know the Riley's method of drawing heads, for example, if your eyes are not really following those contours around, or trying to wrap around the eye, they're going to flatten out the whole image, which is what was happening at this stage. One of the reasons probably was because the eyes were too big for this portrait, which is, I mean, the eyes I'm drawing, I'm not saying his eye, I'm saying the eyes that I was drawing, which is one of the things that I actually struggle with. I tend to normally, and even I see many digital artists also do this, they tend to draw eyes which are generally bigger. I don't know, sometimes some of them do it, it's a stylistic style, but I really hate it, and I always struggle with it, and I try to eliminate it. So here you can see that I decreased those eyes, and I just went on with it. All right, so again, these values are all in the same value ranges, and you can see here that I'm also very shy when using. I tend to shy away from saturation. I don't know why. I'm slowly getting there, but you can see that, for example, here, his face in the portrait, it has this like crispy bacon color. I don't know how, like, but in my portrait, I was trying to move away from that color because I was fearing oversaturating the whole image. And again, this is it's not a decision that I wanted to make. It's a decision that I made out of fear because I don't really know how to go about those value ranges which are really far apart. So as you can see here, I try to move closer to those values by using saturation color or color balancing. But again, it doesn't really matter because here the only thing that I had to do was to uh, just use a wider value group. All right, so yeah, that's one other thing that I'm also working on, that I'm still struggling with, is to get my colors to be in the right saturation values. I tend to shy away from too much saturation. So in the most part, I don't know how to explain the work, or whether you people need me to explain what I'm doing or my thought process in these speed paints. But in every one of these speed paints, I just don't want it to be simple music. I just want to roughly explain my thought process. Maybe if people are interested in learning more about these my work, then I can make lengthy videos, maybe an hour or so. Because, for example, this portrait, it took me 5 hours to draw, so it wasn't as much as far as long as the previous one took me. But again, this one took me just 5 hours. So if I can break that down again, maybe can make it a 2 hour study, and I get to explain the thought process in much deeper details. But again, that will depend on if you're interested. So let me know in the comment section below if that's something you'd be interested in doing. All right. And so things to know for me, I tend to focus on realism mostly. I try not to stylize. So whatever you're seeing, if you're seeing that something is not stylized, it's not realistic, just know that I made a mistake with that, because my intention when I'm drawing is to always go for uh, realism. That's my ultimate goal. I know there are some people who like caricatures and whatever, but yeah. So when you're drawing hair and beards, again, hair and beards are just different value groups. So you only just want to stick to value groups uh, just by using different shades of gray. All right, so you can lay down a very dark gray and mix it with a light gray color and just curl them around, and you get a similar result to what I was getting. Again, I'm trying to, but if you want to get something that is more realistic than what I did here, you would have to spend more time. All right, but given that I had timed myself to only spend 5 hours on this portrait, and I just didn't want to go past that, because then I would know that I was going to be procrastinating. So I decided to just rough them out to give a general rough idea of what was going on. All right. And this is very, very helpful. Another thing when you're drawing portraits that helps to bring realism is to define your shadow planes. And so if, for example, your image is casting a plane on a background, if you define that, it helps to place the subject into the environment, as you can see. And it's very, very, it adds a lot of realism to an otherwise flat image. So you can see that there is a backdrop behind him just by that simple shape of shadow that I had put behind there. All right. Again, even the teeth, the enamel of the teeth and the eyes, they're not really white. They're just different values of the skin color that make them look white, because colors are generally relative. I'll be speaking about that in future tutorials. But for this tutorial or the speed paint, I decided to leave it at this point, and just let me know if you have any thoughts on how I could increase the realism for this. So otherwise, just go create, stay awesome, be amazing. Till next time, peace.